Hey everyone, I'm back. So to continue the series I started about talking about the current state of each division in the NHL, I'm now going to be concluding the series with talking about the Central Division of the Western Conference. So to start, I will be talking about the St. Louis Blues. They currently lead the Central Division. They have 42 points. They have 18 wins, 8 losses, 6 overtime losses. Braden Shen is currently their goal leader with 14 goals and 25 points. David Perron is right behind him with 12 goals and 30 points. And then Ryan O'Reilly has 21 assists and 27 points. I look at this St. Louis team and I really like them. Was rooting for them last year, and the run they had was fantastic, winning the Stanley Cup. Overall, there really isn't much negative things that I could say about the St. Louis team. What they have done with the injuries that they've had in their lineup to key players, including arguably their best player on the team, Vladimir Tarasenko, they have been fantastic. Their goaltending has really stood on its head, and that was the only thing that was really worrisome going into the season with Bennington being the starter, not playing a full season as a starter yet in the NHL, seeing how he would do. But so far, he's been really solid. Same thing with Jake Allen. They have been a great tandem together, and it seems like Allen is really taking advantage of having a limited role on the team and really being in it to win it and only caring about the wins this team gets. More so than possibly trying to push to be the starter. Seems like whatever happens to him happens, and he's enjoying every step of the way. But overall, I look at the St. Louis team, and they have so many great pieces. Alex Pietrangelo, who I believe is going to be a free agent coming out of the season because I don't believe St. Louis re-signed him. I know that they re-signed Braden Shen to an extension, a long extension. I think it was like upwards of 7 years. But I look at Pietrangelo, and he's obviously going to be asking a lot in free agency. And I'm assuming St. Louis is going to try to keep him, but realistically, they probably won't be able to because he'll be out of their budget. But I can see St. Louis keeping him up at the deadline if they're still continuing this run for a deep playoff push, and I'm sure they will. So we'll see what happens, but he's been great for them with 22 points, and Colton Parayko has been really solid for them. Defensively, they just have such a great group. Vince Dunn, Jay Bouwmeester, the list goes on and on. They just have a lot of really good pieces there. And Ivan Barbashev is I've been really fascinated with. He has 15 points on the season. Really solid in their bottom six role for the St. Louis team. Is really thriving, has been doing really well, especially the past couple weeks for them. Either getting a key goal here or there or getting key assists. Robert Thomas, I'm really liking his game. Young forward for the St. Louis team who seems to have a lot of upside. And there's a lot of guys that aren't even in this lineup right now too. And overall, they're just making things work. Jaden Schwartz has been really solid in their top six. He has 22 points. O'Reilly, fantastic. Like I said, one of the best two-way forwards in the game. Love everything about his game overall and just really like him as a person, the type of hockey personality he has. And I really can't flaw this St. Louis team much because they have fought adversity and kicked it in the face. And I fully expect them to make the playoffs and have a very deep run, especially with how deep this team is, given the injuries. Zach Stanford has been solid for them. Tyler Bozak has been solid at times. They just have a lot there. And I really can't say enough good things. I'm really impressed with the run that St. Louis has had, and they really have shown not to have that Stanley Cup hangover of, having such a long season and then coming in. And a lot of times, normally when the team makes it to the Stanley Cup and wins it, they tend to have a slow start to the season, but that really hasn't been the case with St. Louis. I know that they lost their past couple games, but overall, I fully expect them to bounce back and have a deep run. So that being said, second currently in the Central Division is the Colorado Avalanche. They have 41 points. They have 19 wins, 8 losses, 3 overtime losses. Nathan MacKinnon is as advertised. He has been fantastic. If Landeskog wasn't on this team, he would be their captain, but that's okay. MacKinnon is just thriving. Such a non-selfish player too, talking about how he's perfectly fine with the contract he's currently on, and he said that he'll take a pay cut on his next contract to make sure that he stays with this group and this group can stay intact. So that's really saying a lot about his character and the type of person he is. So MacKinnon has 19 goals, 47 points to lead the team in both columns. Cale Makar, 8 goals, 28 points. Wow. I knew that Makar was highly coveted coming out of his draft year and going into this rookie season, but he has just been lights out. I know that he's been hurt and he should be back soon. It's just day to day, but I one of the best defensemen in the league already. He's so much fun to watch, and his points are definitely in connection with playing with McKinnon and everyone else on this Colorado team. But what he does single-handedly is fantastic. Easily one of the best skaters in the league that I've seen. He's so great too defensively. It is not easy to get past him by any means if you're the opposing team. And he's just fantastic. He's currently in the running to win the Calder Trophy. It's going to be interesting to see how that race plays out, especially with other defensemen, rookie defensemen, Adam Fox, Quinn Hughes come to mind, especially, who have been quietly putting up a lot of points themselves. But as I've said in previous videos, Cale Makar has just been on that other level, and I won't be surprised if he even gets Norris consideration coming out of the season. Don't think he would win it, especially what John Carlson is doing, but I definitely think that Makar will get consideration. So I look at them. Then I look at the pieces that they got in the offseason with getting a whole line of players with Jonas Donskoy, Nazem Kadri, Andrei Burakovsky. They have all been fantastic. Donskoy especially has been really good for them. 13 goals, 27 points, has thrived in their top six role, and especially with playing McKinnon. With all these injuries that's happened, because Colorado has had more injuries than any other team this season. I think even more than Pittsburgh. They have had a ridiculous amount, and they've still been putting up the wins like Pittsburgh. Donskoy has been awesome for them since coming over in free agency from San Jose. And he's really showing that there's a higher ceiling to his game than maybe what a lot of people, including myself, expected originally. Nazem Kadri, since coming over in the Tyson Barrie trade, has been phenomenal. 20 points on the season. Has been out the past couple games because he actually got hurt the last time they played Toronto a week ago, which is ironic, but he will be back soon, and he's been thriving for them in any spot that they put him in. And Andrei Burakovsky, fantastic, 23 points. Completely slept on player. I feel that he wasn't utilized right at times with the Capitals because of how deep a team that they've been for years now. Burakovsky reminds me a lot of how I view Pavel Buchnevich on the Rangers. Similar type of players in their style, their size, and how they progressed over the years. So, but you're seeing the next step that Burakovsky is taking, and I can see something similar happening with Buchnevich as well. So, because they're both off to fantastic starts to the season. But Burakovsky, great. One of my favorite players in the league, honestly. I just love everything about his game. I think there is so much there, and I think that the Capitals are going to regret a lot getting not being able to keep him. So, yeah, we'll see what happens, but I just love this group so much. JT Compher, Matt Nieto, there's just so much. Even Jost, who hasn't really lived up to potential yet, has been solid, has a hat trick on the season. Really, just so many pieces there. Valery Nichushkin has really rejuvenated his career and has been a mainstay in the NHL now in a bottom six role since becoming seemingly at the time a complete bust with the Dallas Stars. Goes to the KHL, comes back, and is now thriving in a smaller but overall better role with this Colorado Avalanche team. Matt Calvert has been really solid for them in their top nine as well. They just have so many pieces. Ryan Graves came out of nowhere. No one expected him to be playing top four minutes on their defensive pairs with Makar, but here he is. He kind of came in last season, I think maybe at the midway part of the season, and he's been fantastic since. The traded as a minor league deal between the Rangers and Avalanche, obviously a couple seasons back, just a 1-for-1, him for Chris Bygras. Bygras is an AHL mainstay, and then you have Graves, who has just really blossomed into being a fantastic, I wouldn't even say defensive defenseman, because he has some offensive upside. Overall, really good-looking two-way defenseman that is eating minutes for them night in and night out, and is only continuing to get better. So I'm really happy for him, and really happy for this Colorado team. With all the injuries, they have been still killing it. Same with their goaltending with having injuries with Grubauer and Francouz. Still really solid. They've both been great for them. Better than I would have expected they've been to go into the season. That was my biggest worry with this Avalanche team. How good would they be in their own net? But they have been really solid. So overall, I think this Colorado team is for sure making the playoffs. I think that they're going to be one of the best teams in the league, and I will not be surprised if they possibly make it all the way to the Stanley Cup because they just have so many pieces. And I haven't even talked about Landeskog and Rantanen because they've been out with injury for so long, but they're both back, so that only makes this team that much better. Their top nine is ridiculous. I just can't say enough good things. They went from only being a top line team last season to being a completely deep team in all aspects. So can't say enough good things. Really happy for Colorado's sake, and I hope that they continue this amazing run. So third currently in the Central is the Winnipeg Jets. They have 40 points, 19 wins, 10 losses, 2 overtime losses. Mark Scheifele leads them in goals with 14 goals and 30 points. Laine has 20 assists and 29 points. And then you have Kyle Connor with 27 points. And Blake Wheeler is not too far behind. He had a slow start this season, but he's definitely been picking it up the past month. Neil Pionk has been great for them since coming over in the Jacob Trouba trade. Been better than expected, I think, in a lot of Jets fans' mind. 16 points, power play quarterback, really solid for them. And given his contract, it's really worth it in Winnipeg's case because they knew they couldn't afford Trouba, who's making $8 million a season. So, but overall, Pionk's been really solid. His defensive game is still wary at times, and that's one of the reasons why I really didn't have too much of a problem with the Rangers getting rid of him. But overall, he's proving that he is definitely a solid defenseman in this league with a lot of offensive upside. So great to see him doing well. Josh Morrissey, 19 points, has been fantastic for the Jets the past couple seasons. And if you look at this Jets team, they lost 4 defensemen that were in their top 6. Dustin Byfuglien, Jacob Trouba, Tyler Myers, Ben Sherratt. The fact that they are even close to being in a playoff spot, and they currently are in a playoff spot, is like ridiculous. I would have never expected them to be playing as well as they are, given all of the guys they lost in free agency on defense, and the fact too that they had such a abysmal start to the season. And their goaltending has been really solid. Connor Hellebuyck is single-handedly winning them games, a huge factor into their success. And Brossoit has been decent, nothing fantastic, but Hellebuyck is going to ultimately take the load of games this season for them. And even though that isn't something that isn't necessarily advised in today's NHL, Winnipeg doesn't really have any other options. So overall, Brossoit's been decent. Hellebuyck's been fantastic. Winnipeg, do I think that they're going to make the playoffs? That one's really tough. This one could definitely go the other way. It's fine with all my predictions if they don't happen. It's whatever. This is just my opinion, especially how they currently stand. But I think that Winnipeg is not going to make the playoffs. I think that their defensive woes are going to catch up to them. And I think that, they have the offense for sure, but I think defensively it just isn't enough. And I think the fact that Hellebuyck is going to be taking the brunt of the work going forward and has been, it is going to wear him down throughout the second half of the season. So I could be wrong, but that's just my opinion. I don't think they are going to make the playoffs. So fourth currently in the Central, and to conclude this video, I will be talking about the rest of the Central Division in the part 2 video that will be posted not too long after this one, is the Dallas Stars. They currently have 39 points. They have 18 wins, 11 losses, 3 overtime losses. Rupe Hintz currently leads the team with 11 goals, 14 points. The team hasn't been that great around him, which is surprising because Dallas went on a huge run with point streak not too long ago. While Hintz was out of the lineup with injury, he comes back, and now they've been a little inconsistent now. Kind of surprising. I don't think that's to blame Hintz by any means. I think he's been one of their best players. He's been fantastic. Really came out of nowhere. Stepped up for them in the playoffs last season in a top 6 role and hasn't looked back since. But yeah, overall, this Dallas team, there's inconsistency on offense, but their defense and goaltending has been really, really good. Not too much that I'm going to say on the Jim Montgomery front. If you know Jim Montgomery, their former head coach now, was terminated from being their coach yesterday. No details as to why, so I can't give an answer. I'm really interested to see what happens if something gets leaked to give us more information, because kind of odd that Jim Neal, the GM, would be so broad and explaining the reasoning for his firing because it was so sudden, and there was nothing, at least that came out of the media previously, that would have made anyone believe that Montgomery was on his way out anytime soon. So we'll see what happens. But Dallas did win yesterday, even with having Montgomery out now, and will never be a coach for them again, most likely. They won 2-0 against the Devils. And overall, this Dallas team is pretty solid. Their defense is really solid. Miro Heiskanen has been amazing for them. He has 7 goals, 21 points on the season. One of the best defensemen in the league, in my opinion. I think that he is definitely going to go down as top 5 in the league for a long time. His game is fantastic. I think it gets kind of overlooked because he plays for Dallas. Not that Dallas isn't a good or a coveted team, but just the type of market that they have, because them being an expansion team in Texas especially, where they aren't really known for being a hockey town, it can be easy to kind of overlook certain players like him at times. But he has been fantastic, huge mainstay on their defense. John Kleinberg has been really good lately, especially on the power play and during Heiskanen's absence, because he was out for a little bit with injury. But overall, there's just a lot there on this defense. And their goaltending between the tandem of Ben Bishop and Khudobin. They remind me a lot of the tandem with Boston, where Khudobin previously played for Rask and Halak. 1A, 1B, doesn't matter who you have in and night out, they're going to get the job done for you. And I just really can't say enough good things on that front. Their goal scoring has been a worry, especially like Radulov has been inconsistent. I don't know if I already said this, but he has 9 goals, 18 assists. And then Sagan has 19 assists, 23 points. Sagan's been solid. And Jamie Benn has been slow, and really has been for like 2 seasons now, but he's picking up the pace lately, so that's good to see, because as long as he picks up his game, Sagan will as well, and they will connect, because they have always been really close and normally are on the same line together when they play. Joe Pavelski has been solid since coming over in free agency from the Sharks. Don't expect necessarily too much from him, given the fact that he's reaching his later years in his career. But overall, he still has an offensive upside and is very responsible in his own zone. Corey Perry, shouldn't really expect too much from him, but he can be helpful at times, but really isn't a whole lot of good to say there. Radek Faksa and Jason Dickinson, both really solid depth forwards for this Dallas team. They really stepped up in the absence of Hintz, especially when Dallas was on their point streak run. Both had some really stellar games, especially Fox has been playing really well. So overall, I think that goal scoring is a problem with this Dallas team, like it has been in previous years. But I think that they do have enough defensively and goaltending to take them over that hump and have a decent playoff run. So I do think that Dallas is going to make the playoffs, and that was the biggest X factor between them and Winnipeg, in my opinion. Winnipeg, I just don't see enough defensively there, and I think that they're riding high on their offense, but I just don't see that lasting throughout the whole season, because ultimately, in my opinion at least, a defense is more important than an offense, because even though you might not be putting up enough offensively, your defense can bail you out so much night in and night out and just let you win with only scoring a goal or two. So like I said, that's just my opinion. Obviously that doesn't work for every team, but for Dallas's case, assuming that they don't make any other moves come the deadline, which they still may, I still think that they will make the playoffs and have a decent run. How deep of a run, that is yet to be determined. I really can't say. But all right, so with that being said, that is going to conclude this video. I will be posting the part 2 of the Central Division video not too long after this. Thank you all so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff if you can. I'm trying to get myself out there. I know it's going to take a bit, and that's perfectly fine. I really enjoy doing this, and I will explain in my next video, the part 2, what things look like going forward for me and the type of content that I'll be posting now that the divisions are being wrapped up. So thank you again, and I'll be back soon.